Hey everyone, so here I'm going to explain you this chapter, squares and square root. It's a very important chapter, and whatever you're going to learn in this chapter will be useful for your higher classes. So let us go ahead and learn the basic things about what is called square and what is square roots. So I'm going to just give you an introduction and some of the properties we're going to learn through this video. So let us see what do you mean by square. So we normally know that square is nothing but the shape square. It comes into the picture. That is, this shape is a square. But this is a square we're talking about in geometry. But the square today we're going to learn about is from the algebra. But yes, somewhat they are related. So normally we'll talk about the square is a shape which has a 4 sides equal, and the area of the square is nothing but side into side. Yes? And the square which we're going to learn is somewhat similar. Square is nothing but when you multiply the given number by itself. That is, suppose I want to find out square of 6. So I'll go write down 6 square. So here the exponent will be 2, or the power will be 2. So 6 square means we're writing the power 2 here. Okay, and we know that if power is 2 means you're multiplying 6 here twice. So 6 into 6, like that we can multiply, like we can able to find the square of any number. Suppose I want to find the square of 15, so 15 square. So they are asking us to multiply. Square means multiply 15 with itself again. That's it. So if any question comes where they're asking you to calculate the square, it means just multiply the given number with itself, and the answer whatever we get, that will be the final answer. So from here what we can conclude here is square is nothing but the product of number with itself. Just multiply and get the answer. That's it. And that is a square. So I hope it's clear. The square is a shape which we talk in a geometry, and the square we're talking about in this chapter is you're multiplying that given number with itself, and that is nothing but square. Now going ahead, we have some properties, interesting properties, and the basic concepts. So here I have already done and found a square of few numbers from 1 to 20. So while you're doing this chapter, when you're gonna just remember many of the squares. Like for 1 to 10 it will be easy for you, but for the higher numbers like from 11 to 20, when you're doing problems, you're gonna automatically remember them, so you don't have to by heart it. You can also calculate if you don't remember. Just multiply the number with itself. That's it. Now let us observe this table and understand. Here if you observe, 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4, 3 is 9, and so on. 10 square is 100. Now, well, if I ask you, like 37 is a square of any number or not? Now, if you observe here, 37 is not a square. Not a square in the sense like if I multiply, like if I'm multiplying 4 into 4, I'm getting 16. So 16 is a square of 4. Like that. Is a 37 a square of a number? So if you observe the table here, after 25 we have 36, and after the 36 we have 49, that is 7 square. 6 square is 36 and 5 square is 25. So this 37 is not a square of any number. So it is not necessary that every number should be a square of a particular number. So we can find a square of every number, but the answer what we're getting, it should not be a square of a number. So here what we can say here is the number like 1, 4, 9, 16, all these numbers are actually a perfect squares. Okay, so every number is not perfect square. So after, like for example, if I ask you, is 100 perfect square? Yes, it is a perfect square because 10 into 10 is 100, right? So here 100 will become perfect square. Okay. Similarly, if I ask you, like, is 89 a perfect square? No, it is not a perfect square, because you can see after 81 is a perfect square. After that we have 100, and between this 81 to 100, whatever number like 82, 83, all these numbers are till 99, they are not perfect square. So only few numbers are there which are perfect. So I hope it's clear, like all numbers are not always a perfect square, only few are. Now let us jump into the properties. I'm going to explain you few of the important properties, not all but yes, some of the properties today. Now the very first property, we're going to observe this. Observe the table carefully. So here, if you look at the squares of a number, like here I have a 1, 4, I'm talking about the unit digit, the last digit of the squares of the number 1 to 10, right? So we have a 1, 4, 9, and then 6, 5, again 6, 9, 4, 1 and 0. If you observe, we are getting only specific numbers. For example, like here I have a 1 in the unit place, and here I have a 1. So 1, we are like, it's like when you find the square of a number, we are ending up with 1 in the unit place. The next again 4 is here, like 2 2 is 4, and also 8 8 is 64. So again 4 in the unit place. I'm talking about the unit squares, whatever square we got, the unit place. Okay, then we have a 9, and here also we got 9. So 9, we are like the square is ending up with 9. Then 6 we got, like 6 and 6, and then for 5 it's again only a 5 and 0. Okay, so if you observe, only these numbers are repeating. If you look at the 11 square also, it's ending with 1, again 4, 9, 6, 5, again 6, 9, 4, 1. So only this number always comes when you're finding out a square of any number. So this is one of the property. If you observe here, 2 is missing, 3 is missing, then we don't have here 7, we don't have here 8. Okay, so the square of any number you find out, it never end with this 2, 3, 7 and 8. So whenever the question is asked in exams, you can just looking at the numbers, you can say yes if the given number is a square or a not. Suppose if I ask you like 2061 is a perfect square, it's a square of a number, so there are chances that yes, it can be, it can, okay, I'm not saying it will be, it can be. But if I say like does 1057 is a perfect square, so you can immediately say no, not at all, because it's ending with 7 and squares never end with 7, like that. So like to check whether given number is perfect square or not, there are many methods like a prime factorization, there's a long division method. I'm going to explain you that in the next video, but here I'm just explaining the property. So this is one of the property that square always end with 0, 1, 4, 5, 6 and 9. Then we can say that given number can be a square, like it can be a perfect square. We have to check once again. Now it's not every time compulsory that if the number ending with 1, 4, 0, 5, 6, 9 should be perfect. It's not. For example, if I take 71, okay, 71, the unit digit is 1, but we know that 71 is not a perfect square, right? Because after 64, next perfect square is 81. So it's not compulsory that it should be, but it can be. Okay, alright, this was a one property. Let's go ahead. Again, I'm going to use the same table. Now once again, let us observe this thing. So here, if you observe the squares, I'm talking about again a unit place. So if I look at the 1 square is always a 1. Okay, the unit place is 1. Again, if you look at the 11 square, the unit digit of 11 is 1, and square of the 11 is also ending with 1. Okay, now one more number, 9. So 9 square is 81, the unit digit is 1. Again, if I look at the square of 19, the unit digit is 9 here for 19, and square of 19 is also 361, which is ending up with 1. Like that, if I calculate for any number, okay, like it could be like, suppose let me take 21, right? So 21 square is 441. So what we can conclude from here is, whenever number end with 1. Okay, it always give you 1 in the unit place. The square of that number will always give you 1. Similarly, if you talk about like any number which is ending with 9, for example 19, so 19 square is 361. So for 9 and 1, if any number which end with 1 or 9, or the unit place is 1 and 9, and you take a square of those number, you always get 1 in the unit place. Okay, this is one property, one of the important property. Okay, so we can say for 1 and 9, it is always 1 in the unit place when you take a square. Now next one, let us observe the table once again. This is one property. So for 1 and 9, if the number end with 1 and 9 and you're finding a square of it, you always get 1 in the unit place. Okay, and this is a number, like if number end with 1 and 9, or like the unit place is 1 and 9, the square of a number is 1. Now similarly, let us look at the next 2. For 2, it's giving us 4, and there's a one more number which is 8. For 8 also, if you observe, it is 64. 4 is at the end, right? The unit place is 4. Similarly, 12 square is 144. Look at here, the unit place is again 4. And for 18, the number end with 8, the square always end with 4. I hope it's clear. For example, let me take 22 square, one more number. So 22 square is 484. Again, it's end with 4. Right? So here again same conclusion. If number end with 2 and 8, any number, if the unit place is 8 or the number end with 8 or 2, when you find a square of it, the number always end with 4. This is one more observation. Now let's check the other number, that is 3 and 7 this time. So for 3 it is 9, and for 7 also, if you observe, the unit place is 9, right? Again for 13, you can see 13 square is 169, again 9 we get. And for 17, the number end with 7, the square is 218, and again we got 9. So from here we can say for 3 and 7, 3 and 7, when you any number end with 3 and 7, when you find the square, then the number always end with 9, that is the unit digit will be 9. Now we are done with almost all. We have checked for 1, 2, 3 and then 6, 7, 8 and 9. Only one number is there, which is 5. So if you look at the 5 square, or any number which end with 5, when you find the square of it, it always end with 5. Like 15 square is 225, you got 5 at the end. And if you take 25 square, it is 625, right? So 5 again at the end. If you take 35 square, it is 1225, again 5 at the end. So for 5, it is always 5. So from here we can write down for 5, if the number end with 5, you find the square of it, then unit digit always be a 5. And again for 0 also, if you have a 0, the unit digit always be a 0. For 0 also you will get 0. So this is one interesting property we can observe. So this will be really useful when you're finding out a square root. Okay, square root is different. I'm just explaining the properties of square today. I'm gonna explain a square root in the next video. Square root is actually opposite of square. I'm gonna explain up in the next coming up. So this was a one interesting property. Now let us see one more observation here. There are few more observation, that is, if I take a square of an even number, okay, like even number, let us take from this table itself, like 4. 4 square is 16. 6 square is 36. 8 square is 64. 2 square is 4. Like that, if you take a square of even number, I have an even number, I'm taking a square of it, I always get even number. So square of even number is always a even number. And similarly, if you look at the odd numbers, any odd number you take, like 13 square is 169, 15 square is 225, 11 square is 221, 9 square is 81. So for odd number, when you take a square of it, you always get a odd number. This is one more property. Then last one I want to explain today is whenever number end with zeros. For example, 10 square, right? 10 square is nothing but 100. If I look at 100 square, I'll get 10,000, right? If I take a number like 20 square, right, it is 400. So whenever you're taking a square of a number which end with 0, you always get a even number of zeros. Like I have a 1, I'm getting 2 zeros. If I have 100, I'm getting a 4 zeros, right? So even number of zeros you will get. In that case, it can be a square. Again, I'm not saying that every number which has an even number of 0 is a perfect square. It's not like that. But if the number like 900 is a perfect square, how we got it? 30 multiplied by 30. So we can say that whenever any number which has a zeros, it should always be even number. If it is even number of zeros are there, we can say that it can be a perfect square. Again, it is not compulsory every time. For example, 500 I'll take. 500 has an even number of zeros, that is like I have a 2 zeros here, but this number is not a perfect square. Means if I multiply two numbers, like I'll never get 500 as answer, right? That's one. And if you have an odd number of zeros, for example, let me take a 9,000. So if three zeros are there, odd number of zeros are there, then those numbers can never be a perfect square. We don't even have to check it. They can never be a perfect square. Okay. Now these are the few properties we have learned. So let me give you a glimpse of what is square root. I'm going to explain in next video exactly about the square root. I just want to give you an idea about what is square root. So again, I'll go back here. Now square root is nothing but, for example, I have a 36, right? So square root is opposites of square. So this 36 is square of which number? That is called a square root. So square root is represented by the symbol. So if I write down this, it means 36 is a square of which number? It is square of 6. So square root of 36 will be 6. So again, square root of, suppose let me take a small number like 25. It will be 5. Okay, like that we can find out a square root of perfect squares. If it is like, if I want to find a square of 5, I can get the square root. It's not where the answer will be in somewhere in points. It is difficult to get it. This is some methods to calculate that, but we're going to focus on the perfect square numbers. So I'm going to make one more video on the square root again, but I just want to conclude the properties and what we mean by square. This is just an introduction video. So from here, what we have learned, let us just go through once again. So here we have seen that a square number can only end with 0, 1, 4, 5, 6 and 9. Again, it's not compulsory that every number which is ending with 0, 1, 4, 5, 6, 9, it has to be a perfect. No, but there are chances that they can be perfect square. Then second property, the number of 0 at the end of a perfect square is always even. Like 100 square is equal to 10,000, so 4 zeros are there. It should be even number of zeros should be present. Then square of an even number are always even, and square of odd number are always odd number. Then we have learned these are important properties from the table, that all number ending with 1 and 9 have a 1 in the unit place. So remember, this trick will gonna really helpful when you're solving a problems, exercise problems or any problem. Then a number ending with 2 and 8 have a 4 in the unit place of their square. Similarly, for 3 and 7 it will be 9. For 4 and 6 it will be 6. For 5 it is always 5, and for 0 it is always 0. So this is what we have learnt in today's class. We have learnt about how to find out the square. We have learnt a few of the properties. Remember, these properties will be really helpful when you're solving your problems. So when I am explaining the exercise problems and all, it will be really helpful for you to understand. So that's it. I hope you have understood. In case you have a question or doubt, you can drop a comment below and I'll try to explain it. Thank you so much for watching.